Hi guys, Ryu here, and I'm gonna talk to you about bevel weight. There are many ways of interacting with geometry when it comes to bevel, and one of them is angle, which is by default set in hardOps. So when I add a bevel to geometry and go to my settings, you can see that the bevel is set to angle and the angle's 30 degrees. So always peachy, but the problem is gonna start when the angles of geometry, so the angles between two faces, are lower than 30 degrees. So watch this. If I add a loop tool in here, go to face mode, grab this, GZ, go down. Now watch. See that this edge here was not caught by the bevel. It's just, sort of bent. If I go any lower than that, it's gonna get snapped. See that? It's snapping now. And the reason for it is that this angle is simply shallower than 30 degrees. It's probably like, 20-ish, right? So now the way to combat this would be either change the angle here to something smaller, which I wouldn't really recommend, because remember that this will include all the angles. If I go to bevel and press Z, you can see that all these faces here would be affected, right? So if I change the bevel angle, the angle between the faces is gonna be included as well. You can end up with like a faceted bevel. So you don't want to do that. So now the way to combat this, right, would be to add bevel weight. Now in hardOps you could set which attributes you want to assign to an edge when pressing sharp. Now you could have a crease, seam, weight and sharp at the same time. I want to apply just Bweight, so bevel weight, to show you how it works. Now before we do anything, let's change this bevel from angle to weight. So the limit method from angle to weight. Now you can see that we lost the bevel. And the reason for it is that none of these edges has weight assigned to them. So let me resharpen this. So I'm going to click on sharp. And now you can see that bevel weight was added to the edges. You can also see that this edge here was not caught by the bevel again, because it wasn't actually, the bevel weight wasn't added to it. To fix this, we could either change the way sharpens works. So we could change the angle of sharpness and make it a bit more shallow, which again I would not recommend messing with. The best way to go about it would be to simply grab this edge, Q, and mark as sharp, which will add bevel weight to it. And now you can see that this bevel is, this edge is properly beveled. Doesn't matter what angle you're gonna have it at, the bevel is gonna stay there. And that's how you use bevel weight in Blender. Now bevel weight can be adjusted. It goes from 0 to 1, where 0 is 0 and 1 is the maximum value, which means the maximum bevel. To change that, go to End Panel, Item, and go to Edit, select everything, so all the edges, and you can see it in here. So mean bevel weight, and you can actually slide it back and forth to adjust it to your liking. That should cover the most important things about bevel weight in Blender.
And okay, now for a quick change in the deepness of voices here, I'm going to quickly demonstrate the vanilla tools to use this, just to kind of encompass everything. So you just watch Ryu's part, and that was including hardOps, and you can do the same exact types of things with vanilla Blender, obviously, so I'll just quickly discuss that for anyone interested. So here's the example he used. Obviously you can add on a bevel modifier and make whatever adjustments you'd like. You could smooth it out, set that to angle, and then harden the normals, right? Okay, so you obviously know what bevel weight is now, but if you want to add bevel weights in vanilla Blender, you simply go to the bevel modifier, click on weight. You're going to see nothing is beveling right now because we haven't set weight anywhere. So to do that, we simply select the edges we want to have a weight on. If we press the N key and go to Item, you're going to see this mean bevel weight option. So obviously Ryu just showed you how to do it in hardOps. This is the way you do it in vanilla Blender. You just drag this up, and now you're going to see it bevels those edges there that we have selected. Or I could just select the whole thing and capture all of those edges to bevel the entire cube. And it looks like his example had a little bit of a bigger bevel, and he also had an edge down the middle. So if we just kind of go back to what he was doing, obviously this angle is not going to matter because the limit method isn't set to angle. If we changed it, then the angle is going to kind of catch. You can see it's catching right there. But when it's set to weight, it's only basing it based off of the mean bevel weight settings. As you can see, the angle isn't being captured. So in Ryu's example, he basically went in here and set that mean bevel weight manually. We'll put this up to 1. And now you're going to see we have a nice bevel in there as well. Maybe a bit too big, so you could, of course, drag that down a little bit. And you can see there's kind of a harsh little area here, and you could change that with the miter type to a patch or something. Sometimes it doesn't shade very nicely though, so you could either change it to patch or arc, or you could simply just bevel this entire edge loop here. I think that's just an easier strategy. And one last thing, the offset here is uniform for every single edge that we're affecting. You can see this entire thing changes. So if I want, say, a smaller bevel on the top, then I'd have to go into these top edges here, and I'd have to adjust the mean bevel weight to change that up a little bit. You can see it gets a little bit crazy because the bevels might start pinching, so I wouldn't recommend this, but if you ever needed a slight change in bevel, this is a strategy, although not one I would employ myself. One quick thing worth mentioning if you're using Vanilla Blender, under Normals, make sure you tick on Auto Smooth so the shading gets captured nicely as well. So that's about it. Ryu discussed the Hard Ops application, and this is basically the same thing, but just how you would accomplish the same task in Vanilla Blender.